Hello and welcome to Vikram Loves to Freelance. Now, who is a native English speaker? Now, when it comes to freelance websites, we hear this term, native English speaker way too often. And invariably, the reference is towards, residents of countries such as the United States or Canada or the United Kingdom, Australia or New Zealand, or at the most South Africa. Countries where the presumption is that people there speak English and know English, perfectly. That's at least the presumption. But I want to dismiss this, this assumption, as I call it. I am an Indian. I am in India, and I am as native to the English language as a person in any of the countries I mentioned. Nationality and nativity or nativeness are two different things. They are not the same thing. And especially when it comes to a country like India, which was ruled by the Britishers for centuries, English is a language which comes naturally to us. Now, when I'm making this video, there is no script. There's nothing which I've prepared, which I've, thought about that, oh, I need to say these things and I don't need to say these things. The English language comes naturally to me. I can speak, fluently, as I'm sure you can notice, and I can write just as fluently, just as easily, without any challenge whatsoever. And if you come down to India, if you look at the education system here, if you look at the primary language of correspondence, especially on an official, at an official level, you will find that English dominates over all other languages. However much, given the fact that India is a multilingual country where there are hundreds, literally hundreds of languages spoken, apart from the primary, languages of each state. There are dialects, there are, various languages which are, say, spoken by a certain tribe or certain group of people within a particular state. So there are many languages which are spoken in India. That's why it's referred to as an Indian, the subcontinent, because within the country it's pretty much like an entire continent within itself. And then of course, if we take countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, which were all a part of the overall, India, which as it used to be before 1947, when it was considered united India. Then we're obviously looking at many more languages, and at the same time, I would again like to point out that there are people from these parts of the world, Pakistan and Bangladesh in particular. These are again parts which were ruled by the British, and that English language legacy has passed down over the years. And in India in particular, I would say that, command over the English language, especially in people in urban India, and educated, well educated, gone through the entire rigmarole of the education system, which I must tell you is extremely competitive. In India, we compete against, especially at as we go higher up, as we, graduate through school, and then, say, junior college or high school, and then on to, graduation, post graduation. We compete, among the very best, because it's like the creamy layer gets creamier and creamier, so to say, at the top. And that's when, competitiveness is extremely high. And among the many factors which kind of gets you ahead in life over here is definitely your command of the English language. So a person who's well educated in India is in all probability also very well versed with the English language. Now, coming to the very specific aspect of freelancing in general, from the point of view of the freelance sites where there's a lot of content development, English language content development work which is posted there, I would like to make my point and be, very assertive about it, that nationality and nativity are two different things. Being an Indian does not necessarily mean that, I'm not native to the English language. I repeat, they are two different things. I can be from India, which I am, and yet I can be and I am a native English speaker. So please don't have this generalization. Yes, there are a lot of people here who probably don't have that command over the English language. There are people who don't know the English language at all. This is a very vast country. You have to remember that there is 1.2 billion people within a land area which is one third of the United States. So you can imagine that very densely populated country and very vast. There are so many different kinds of people here. So there are people, of course, who don't know English very well. But having said that, I have traveled around. I have seen in mainland Europe there are countries where people don't understand even a word of English. Compared to that, I would say, India is not that bad. Even the simple auto rickshaw guy, the tuk tuk guy on the street, the guy who's probably even coming to collect garbage at my place, even the maid servant who comes, this section of society has, some basic understanding, probably a word here, a word there. And what has happened is, over time, there are a lot of English words which have got kind of, adapted into the vernacular language. Like, primarily it's Hindi in India. Hindi also has, a lot of these English words which have got, kind of, they mingled into the language, and the way we speak, we often use these words as though they are part of our vernacular language. So, and then another instance which I can give you is the fact that the world's largest circulated English language daily newspaper is in fact an Indian one, which is the Times of India. You can look up, on the internet, you can Google it, the Times of India, and you'll find that that's very true. That again just goes to show how many people are actually reading an English language newspaper on a daily basis. So that again points to the fact that when it comes to India, command over the English language here is supreme and is vast. There are so many people. So again, don't have this thing that when it comes to, say, a country like India in particular, people are not native to the English language. That is not true. That is not a generalization which you should have in your mind. That's the point I wanted to make through this video. I hope, at the end of the video, things are clear to you. Cheers.